Hi guys, my name is Girish, the host for Back to Basics, another Back to Basics for another week. It is great to listen to you guys and all the comments that I'm getting so far from all you guys. Good, bad, ugly, either way. It actually makes my show stronger if you really believe it. I believe it for sure because if you look at my episodes from day one till today's date, I have improved a lot from your comments and your feedback, and I salute you and thank you so much for that. So today we have an interesting and amazing episode. Today I have Kate on my show, and we're going to talk to you about what her journey is about sisters in service. Yes, you heard me right. Not sisters in service in, let's say, McDonald's or something. We're talking service. We're talking the country, the US government, the US country, and that's what we're talking about. The services that we should talk about over and over again. It's not a taboo. It's actually a real thing. So, Kate, thank you for coming on my show, and thanks for accepting my invitation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure. I think you and I met on Clubhouse, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into the basics of today's topic and what you do and what you don't do and all that crazy stuff we're going to talk about today, what does back to basic mean to you?
Back to basics just means, getting rid of all the crap and just, getting rid of all the fluff and just getting right down to the nitty gritty of what you need to do and how you need to do it.
Yeah.
There's so much noise sometimes on stuff that you want to do, such as a podcast. Do this, do that, monetize, do, all of this other stuff that you just need to sit down, get your basics that you need to record and record. The other stuff is going to come later.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you again Kate, for coming on my show again and explaining about the basics according to you, because everyone's definition of going back to basics is very different. And I'm glad that you mentioned the way you did. Thank you again. So Kate, the way I resonated with you on Clubhouse, and I said I need to bring this powerhouse lady into this show, or I should say powerhouse sister into this show. So tell me who you are and what you are, and explain to people why I brought you here before I get to the details, if you don't mind.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kat Corchado. I am a U.S. Air Force veteran. I did 20 years in the military. I was born into the military because my dad was already in the Air Force. And then not only was I a military brat, but then I went into the Air Force. And after getting out, I just realized that I was having such a hard time with transition. It was just so difficult to get my feet on the ground. And I thought that I would be one of those. I like to believe that I was one of those in sports, you call them a first round draft pick, where people would be throwing money and contracts at me, and the music was playing and the balloons. And yeah, there was none of that.
Yeah, of course.
And, it was disconcerting to me. And so I finally got my feet on the ground and I thought I was the only one. And I started talking to other veterans and realizing that even 21 years later, they're still having problems with transition. And so I started realizing that women were having a harder time than most men, which is how my podcast came to be, called Sisters in Service.
Thank you so much for that. It seems like it's a taboo topic that we don't talk about much. And I think we should talk about it. We all think that back in the 60s when, it was a equality between both men and women, but it looks like it's not. And it's still one of those things. And I think we're still struggling with that. And I think it's kind of gone better today. I'm not sure. You can explain that from your point of view. But from what I see, I think I see a lot of leadership going around in this world today. So can you express that feeling back to me there?
Sure. I think the equality between men and women in the military is getting better. It's still not there. We're having a lot more women and minorities in leadership roles, which is great. before, when there was a woman in a leadership role, especially when I was in, it was shocking. We're like, oh my gosh, she's in charge of the squadron, and it was this very cool thing. But I think the inequality is when we get out of the military, is that women are not seen as veterans, and they're not recognized as veterans, and they're not treated the same way that, say, a male veteran would be treated.
Yeah, yeah. Is it really tough to bring women into the field versus behind the scenes, or the other way around? Does that make sense what I'm saying? So let me rephrase that a little. Let's say,
Mhm.
when I say going into the field, I mean going out in the field outside, to fight for the country, versus being behind the laptop or PC, or whatever we have. Do you think that's where they stand?
It definitely is harder. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was fortunate in the fact that I had a desk job, and that was kind of by accident.
Yeah.
I think it's harder for women to go into a combat situation, or like going into a different country with, 26 or 30 or 50 men, and there's only two women. That's really difficult
Mm.
in so many ways, because sometimes your enemy is wearing the same uniform as you are, and
Sure.
that's just being real.
Yeah, yeah. Kate, uh, in a side note and a funny note, if you think about it, when I actually contacted you, and when you were explaining to me, and I was reading your website and everything, the first thing came in my mind is Agent Carter in Marvel. Uh, because you know what, she's struggling just to be where she is, to be a great agent, and she is a good agent, but it seems like men around them is overcharging over her power, and not agreeing with her decisions, for whatever the decision is. uh, I don't know, do you feel that, and do you resonate with that character in some way?
I do. I think that in the military, women have to be aggressive and they have to have a voice,
Yeah.
because a lot of times women are put in charge of millions of dollars worth of assets and personnel, the majority of them being men. The problem is that when you get out of the military and you go to a civilian job,
Yeah.
and you're seen as pushy, you're seen as aggressive, or we're seen as very broken. And it's twofold. If they don't like you to be pushy and aggressive, you have to be agreeable and nice. Or if you're too, as someone once said, whiny, then they don't like that either. So you're not fitting the bill, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for that. So, Kate, can I ask you one question? The podcast that you have, uh,
Mhm.
what is it called again? The Sisters.
Sisters in service.
Okay. So, what type of clients, or what type of guests do you get on that podcast?
The majority of the guests I have are veterans, male and female.
Okay.
Sometimes they're not veterans, but they have organizations that help veterans that I have vetted myself and know for a fact that they absolutely do help veterans. And as far as women are concerned, we're talking about all of those things that happen to us in service and out of service. So it could be, just having a hard time making rank, or the kind of job that you have and the supervisors you have to deal with, to military sexual trauma, maybe even PTSD after service, and getting help with that. So a lot of them are veterans that are related to the veteran community.
Yeah. Is it a big struggle? Are there a lot of females out there with these type of issues? I didn't realize that there was that many. I mean,
There's more than you
I
think.
heard, honestly, I heard big numbers, but I didn't realize they were more huger than what I was thinking, actually.
I think the numbers are a little convoluted, only because, back in the day when, military sexual trauma or um, sexual harassment would happen, no one talked about it. So now the numbers are higher only because women are coming forward now, and men. Okay, don't let me let the men out. It's happening to them too. But the numbers are bigger for women only because we're now talking about it and we're reporting it so that things can be done to take care of the situation.
Yeah. So, Kate, give me 1 second. I just want to talk to my audience 1 second.
Sure.
So, guys, the way I'm getting a sense from Kate is that it looks like there's a lot of struggles for females to get into certain positions in any field. I mean, we're talking army, we're talking government positions also. But think about it this way: even in businesses, we also have trouble getting into a certain position. Now, I bet you 110%, any ladies or any women, or I should say, in this case, any sisters going to any position, there are a lot of struggles just to get to their leadership role. Now, that's the same stuff that she's talking about on her podcast. And honestly speaking, I want to salute all the sisters, all the sisters around the world, even in the United States and other countries who are dealing with this type of stuff. You know, you hear certain people that they became the first astronaut, they became the first leader of the country, or maybe they became the first leader of the organization. I want to salute to those people with these type of issues. So, Kate, thank you so much for that. So when you are a speaker and coaching, what type of uh, situations or what type of situations do you get?
Speaking mostly to women veterans to let them know that they aren't by themselves, because that's the problems, that we feel isolated and we think we're the only ones that are going through it. And to let them know that you can come out on the other side, and there are other women that you can speak to and call and talk to and say, I'm having a problem with this, and it's okay, because we've had problems with that. So when I speak to other groups, it's usually things like that. I would love to get in front of organizations that are thinking about why they should hire veterans, specifically women veterans, and what we bring to the table. And I think that's part of the problem, is that they don't know what it is we bring to the table and how we can benefit their organization.
So, thank you for that, by the way. So is there, I know it's going to sound like a joke, but is there a certain checklist for ladies to say that this is what I need to do to apply for these positions? Because it seems like the only criteria is, you know, fitness and health and above 18, but I'm pretty sure there's more than that, right? So so is there a checklist that people should look for and aim for that, so then there's no objection to not getting hired in the future?
You know, it's when you put your resume in, it's like anything else. Everyone looks like they walk on water on their resume.
Right.
And a lot of times, you know, they see, you know, the very first thing that I put at the top of my resume says veteran and how many years, but a lot of times it gets skipped over, and they look directly at what the attributes are, what you can bring. So veteran isn't one of those key words that people look for or HR looks for. And I think that they should. The checklist should include veteran, because we have so much to bring to the table, whether you're male, female, or whatever. It shouldn't matter. There are a lot of things that we can do that they're called soft skills, you know, how we get along with people, you know, how we're trusted, how we can bring, you know, we come to work on time. We don't take a whole lot of breaks. We want to know what the mission is. What do I need to do? How do I do it? Let me get it done. What does it need to be there? Those types of things. But on a resume, you know, it doesn't look good. I'm always on time. Oh, okay. Well, you're supposed to be on time. Yeah. So a checklist, no. But I think the checklist should include, and this is for all veterans, the fact that veterans should be at the top of the resume, and it should be counted as something.
Yeah, but I mean, you're telling me the way your example is that it seems like it's backfiring for them, right? In certain places, is that correct?
Yes, people don't, when they see veteran, they just, it's totally ignored. Like, let me give you an example. My husband put a resume in for a job, and he had an interview, And the woman just totally glossed over the fact that he was a veteran. She didn't even bring it up. He brought it up, and she didn't even bring it up again after that. And I just think that's very disrespectful. At least acknowledge it, in some form or fashion. And, because a lot of these veterans put a lot of their time, their limbs, some of them put their life. Sometimes, some of them have PTSD. They're dealing with all of these other things, but they're still functioning, so, give us a little respect in that fashion.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for that, for all the services that you do. I don't know how many times I'm going to say it today, but it seems like it needs to be said over and over again, all over again. But thank you again. So when I apply for a job, I'm just giving you an example. I've seen people do this. There's a section in there, it says EEO section, where it tells you that if you're male, female, or others, and then it'll tell you that if you're a veteran or disabled or something like that, right? So do you think that's going to be backfiring when you apply for those type of things, because then they'll put you in a different bucket? Or do you think that just goes up to the upper list? What are your thoughts on that?
I think if you have the qualifications they're looking for, that veteran is absolutely that plus.
Yeah.
But putting it at the bottom in the EEO, I think it should be at the top. Are you a veteran? Yes. Okay, let's go from there. And if you don't, and I'm not saying that veterans should be hired if they're not qualified. I'm saying that it should be one of those things that you look at, that if you have two people with equal
I think the word you're
they can bring to the table, that the veteran should be hired.
I think the word you're looking for is credibility.
Thank you.
I think you're looking for credibility. So I think people, they don't acknowledge that. I think that's what it is. Yeah. So thank you for that. So you have done so much in your life. You've done a podcast, you're a speaker, you're a coacher, and everything else. And plus you're coming on Back to Basics. What are you for the next 5 more years, or even 10 more years for you?
Well, I see myself, I love podcasting so much. I just do. I enjoy it so much. So I continue to do that. Maybe even doing another podcast. I would really love to, being in the fitness industry. So I've been in the fitness industry for 37 years as a personal trainer, and 15 of those years are in Pilates. It's been on my heart to work with women in breast cancer. And I just got a scholarship to an organization that will help me do just that. So I'm looking to build a community of women who have gotten that diagnosis, but before they've actually gone into treatment, to get their body stronger, to get their mind stronger, boost their immune system, so that they have the tools that they need to go through that, because I've seen it firsthand what radiation and chemotherapy can do to your body. And it's not pretty. So if I can get to them before that, so in 5 years, I'm looking to get that up and running, and just having fun. We don't have fun anymore. I want to have fun. I love laughing, but everything's just, it can be a grind sometimes. And especially in the times we're in right now, any chance that I get to laugh, to joke around, to be on a podcast and giggle and all of this other stuff and just have a good time, I'm all for it.
Well, if that's the case, if I threw and say a joke, what would you say?
Yes, go for it.
Go for it. There you go. What worse could it be? People will say that it was really bad, right?
Exactly.
We don't have too much fun, and it seems like we just need to go to basics when it comes to these things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Kate, thank you so much. Any last words before you leave from this show today?
I just want to thank you again for the opportunity. And it's just a chance to see the people that I talk to in Clubhouse, and here in Clubhouse, I get to see their faces, and that's always exciting to me. Sure. We're in this, time of, people say, oh, I'm so sick of being on Zoom. But to me, Zoom is still that chance to see people's faces, see their expressions, hear their laugh. It's still a chance to connect, and we can't stop connecting. We have to stay connected to each other. No matter how bad it gets out there, there's a chance to connect with someone and just talk and learn more about people, so just stay connected.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kate, for coming on my show and definitely accepting my offer for coming here. And it's great. And I'm gonna say it again, but I'm gonna salute you of all the hard work that you have done. And thank you again for coming here.
Thank you so much. I've had a great time.
Thank you. So, guys, we spoke with Kate today, and we talked about the services of what she's done and what she's doing in the future, also, right? And that is also needed too. We need to talk about these things. And here's a quote of the day, as usual. There is a quote in Back to Basics again. So the quote is, when a woman knows her rights, how to use them, and how to advocate for her rights, she is stronger. And that's the quote of the day. And I'm pretty sure Kate agrees with that. And guys, all I'm saying is to respect one another and be together as one big happy family. It does not matter who, she, it, or anybody is. We need to respect everybody. So there's one thing that I always say at the end of the episode. Remember, everything in life goes back to basics, and that's what we did today, guys. Guys, you take care, God bless, and keep on commenting as good, as bad, as ugly. Either way, it'll make my show stronger day by day. Content will be great, guest will be great, and always the host is going to be the best. So guys, take care, God bless, and I'll see you next week. Next week's episode on Back to Basics.
Public and make sure your focus is them, because your agenda should be around these people. Your target audience is a school. Are you talking to small children? Are you talking to corporate goers? Are you talking to pageant goers? It's going to be a very different audience each time. So you have to and your delivery accordingly. Put in public. That's how I would answer your question.
Well, sometimes the public speaking needs to be natural, right? And I think that's